Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Anna Sothen with the In Crowd, and I am super excited that my new dear friend,
Yes.
Catina Downey, is with me today. And so you buckle up because we have a lot of information to share with you. They are doing some amazing things in our community. So make sure that you listen in, make sure you get a pen and paper because this one's going to be a good one. Good afternoon or good morning, everybody at ESPN Richmond 106.1. We're excited that you're here. I'm super excited to have Catina Downey here, who is, you are. I mean, not only are you I don't want to say a serial entrepreneur because it sounds like you sort of bounce around, but like you have a vision. And what I love about you is that you have a vision and then you execute it. And there's not a lot of people who do that, right? So first off, let's start off with, you did serve in our military. Yes. So thank you for serving in our military and doing that same. Thank you for serving our country, right? And keeping us safe. So thank you for doing that. But then we transition into your CPA.
Yes.
Correct, right? So tell us a little bit about your CPA services, who your ideal client is and how you help them.
So our ideal clients are small business owners.
Okay.
That's where I focus. We recently transitioned the firm from the compliance, accounting, and tax to more consulting.
Okay.
Because I opened the event space.
Right.
Took up a lot of time. And so I needed to really focus. I'd already niched when I opened to small businesses predominantly operated by women.
Okay.
And so most of my clients are women business owners or women leaders in nonprofits. And so I just further niched that down to consulting. Mm-hmm. And so I'm able to help more people without the deadline driven thing. It's like you get a consulting agreement and we talk you through what you need. Because that's a lot of it is what it is. People just need guidance.
Right.
And so I created a YouTube channel called Cornhole and Connections Ask Tina.
Love that.
Because a lot of people are, well, just ask Tina. Just ask Tina. She'll tell you. And so I did a lot of that. Now I want to monetize that. And
yeah,
I'm
absolutely
helping people in a way that is genuine to me. So
I love that.
That's what the CPA firm does.
That's fantastic. So then we transition over to NES Cornhole.
Yes.
Right. So if you guys haven't been there, it is I got to finally see it yesterday. It was a beautiful space. You. It's right across the street from Dave & Buster's at Short Pump. Mm-hmm. Yo, it's indoor cornhole.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize that was a thing. So
yes.
Tell us a little bit, and you told me a little bit the story yesterday, right? So give us a little snippet of what it was originally like in your mind you were going to do, and then it transitioned into, because God works in funny ways.
Yeah. Yes. So I love to plan things out.
Okay.
And so I started planning for this probably 2015. And so I had a smaller office, and I had a space in my office that was just not being used. And so I said, I really wanted to have a space for my family, the family reunions that we do every year. And so I wanted a space for that. And I wanted a space so people can have a wedding, like a small wedding. And so I said, let me test out this market and see if there is an actual market. It was just in my head.
Right.
And so I opened it up. People started booking the space right away. So I said, oh, let me do some more planning for this. So I started planning for it, started looking for spaces. 2019, I was working with Icon Realty Group.
Okay.
And they were helping me find a space for the location. I was looking for a wedding venue or event venue.
Okay.
And of course, March 2020 happened.
Right.
So, because I formed the corporation, everything in January with the thought that down the road I would bring on investors and that sort of thing. So I structured it in that way. And if you need to know how to structure your organization, let me know. But that was
how it will literally help you with any shit. She helped people fill out the application for the Comcast
Rise grant.
Right.
Yes.
Like this, I mean, when I talk about a heart of service, this woman has a heart of service. Sorry.
Yes.
I just wanted to interrupt.
That's what the lounge allows me to do, is bring all that stuff together. And so while we were planning for that, pandemic happened. Put everything on pause, of course, just because I wouldn't have been able to operate.
Right.
During the time of the pandemic, Trent, who's a good friend of mine, I've known him since our kids were little. He started playing cornhole with a group of guys. And so he mentioned to me, hey, when you open your venue, you may want to host some of these tournaments, because there are people who are literally driving, to other parts of the state to play. If they had a place to play, they would probably play here. So I thought, okay, that would be cool, having an event space for like reunions, and you have a really nice lounge. And so I named it, because the space is NES, which is Nicole's event space.
Right.
Nicole's my daughter's middle name. And so it was going to be an NES lounge, like a little area for cornhole. So when I started telling people about it, I didn't realize how much people love cornhole.
Oh,
like I like it. And I play like backyard play, but I didn't realize how serious it was
Oh, yeah.
for some people and how much people love it.
Mhm.
And so they really did. So I was just like, okay, let's just switch the marketing around because you just need to pivot. You have a
Right.
business, you have to pivot.
Absolutely.
And so I pivoted around to make the cornhole in the front end. And so, of course, it's an event space. We do all
Right.
kinds of things in there, but the cornhole is the front runner,
Yep.
so to speak. So
Yeah.
that's how we got to the cornhole.
I love it. And when you walk in there, there are courts, right? Is that what they're called? Okay, so yeah, there's courts, and there's courts for like
We have
with
9 courts.
9
always
courts.
set up.
Yeah, absolutely, and it's absolutely beautiful. And and I meant to say this to you yesterday when I walked in, like, when I play backyard cornhole, right? And I'm very good, by the way. I'm very, very good. But, we measure it out by just walking. You're like 1, 2, 3, 4. I still can't tell you how far, everybody else sets it up. But I remember walking in yesterday and being like, that's significantly further than the way we set it up. So
it's 27 feet from end to end of the board. That's
Okay.
the rules. And
Gotcha.
so
Okay.
that is why it looks so far. Is because when you go out in the backyard, you just kind of wherever it's flat and that's
Right,
over there,
exactly.
there. But we make it so because we have pros who play there.
Right.
They practice there. So we set up. We have professional boards. They most bring their own bags, but we have
Oh,
bags
well,
there.
you do. You get used to the way, like
Mhm.
the way you toss
And they
it
come
back.
in with suitcases of
Oh.
bags. I mean, lots because they want to try them out. They want to get them right, all
Oh.
the stuff. And so they come in with their own bags. Oh yeah. But we have bags there for people to use to
Okay.
come in and because the people who don't have their own bags are people who just backyard fans. They don't really care.
Right. Yeah.
So, but they just want to have a good time.
Yeah.
So that's what we do.
So you'll see when I play, because they do have an event. So we're going to talk
Yes.
about the event here in just a moment, and I'm going to play that day. But
Oh,
when I play, I set my feet. So like when I'm in the grass, like I make imprints, and my sister, if she's watching this, will comment. But like when I set my feet, I don't move my feet. And so my sister
okay.
will know that if she comes over, she'll like just push me out of the way.
Yeah,
But then
that's
I go and reset. I literally, when I get there, I'm like digging my
So
feet.
what are you gonna do? Because you don't
there's
have
no-
dirt.
There's no imprint.
Don't destroy our mat.
It's gonna be mayhem. I know what I'll do. I'll put chalk on the bottom of it so I make it look. I'm just kidding. Tina's like, that's not happening.
You're gonna have to just see where, because so they're logo mats. So you just gotta figure out where on the logo you're gonna put your foot
Yes.
on each piece.
There we go. Okay,
Yeah.
see, we've got it all figured out. There doesn't have to be any destruction of property happening.
Yes.
Which is good. She's like, whew, okay.
Yeah.
So July 20, I almost said January.
Yeah.
July 28th.
Yes,
We have
Sunday,
this
July 28th.
huge
Yep.
event happening.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that, because that's something that's I mean, your space is brand new. It's
Yes.
it's a novel concept, if you will, to Richmond. But the event that you're having is it's first of its kind here, right?
Not really.
Okay.
So last year in November, I think it was the open number 5 for the end of season or the beginning of season 23-24.
Okay.
They had an open at the new sports center. Sports Center.
Okay.
It was huge, but it was an ACL tournament.
Gotcha.
So it
Okay.
was a huge tournament. And so a lot of those people came over to NES because they come from all over the country, of
Right.
course. And so some of them came to our space and they're like, oh man, this is awesome. You got to open up one here. And I mean, they were California, Canada,
Oh, wow.
Georgia, South Carolina. I was like, franchise. Oh, give me time. We'll
Right,
open it there. But I
got a minute.
yes, exactly. Let me breathe for a minute. But they really loved that space. But there's nothing that I have been able to find that is like that. So when they had the tournament at the Sports Center, Henrico Sports Center, of course they brought the boards and they set it all up and then they tore it down, just like any other sporting event.
Right.
But ours stay up all the time.
Right.
So as far as I can tell, there's not another space like ours, identical ours. There's another very similar place in Arizona, really, really nice place that I keep saying I'm going to get out there. I think it's called 9i, something like that, in Arizona, but it's an indoor cornhole run by an ACL director.
Okay.
Really great space. But theirs is, I mean, definitely, cornhole centered. Ours is more event space.
Right.
But we have the board set up all the time. So we have it designed so that we can break everything down and have a non-cornhole event.
Yeah. Which they do. So let's talk a little bit about that. So on Wednesday nights, we have
Country line dancing.
On Sunday nights, we have salsa,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We're gonna have a comedy show coming in
Yeah, in
August.
Yes.
But right after the cornhole tournament on the 28th, you are doing another event as well too, right? And let's talk a little bit about the nonprofits, because this is what I love. I love connecting with businesses who are doing really great things in our community, but they also have, again, a heart of service, and so they're giving back as well too.
Yes.
So let's talk a little bit about the nonprofits that you're supporting with the events that you have going.
Yes. So the one that's coming up, the more recent one, was coming up soon, is the one this Friday. So there's a organization, Glams R is the organization that's putting on the event, and the event is called Euphoria and Ladies Night Out.
Okay.
And so it's a fashion show and a meet and greet with a few of the gentlemen from a show on BET called Queen's Men, All the Queen's Men.
All the Queensmen. Gotcha. Okay.
And so they will be there present to meet and greet. And of course, there's celebrities, big celebrities. This is like season 4.
Oh, okay.
This is the
So if you want to see some celebrities,
celebrities,
for sure,
yeah.
Friday night,
Yeah,
it's a place to be.
exactly. So that's happening there for that nonprofit. The nonprofit is Fostering Hope. I believe that's the name of the nonprofit. But the models that are in the fashion show, they can choose what nonprofit they want to support.
Oh, I love that.
But the lady who is putting that on is Christy. She is that is the organization she supports.
Gotcha. Okay.
The other organizations that I support are KLM Scholarship Foundation, which I'm the CFO on that board for KLM. I've been a volunteer for them for a long time. The other organization I support is the Verona Center for Tax and Small Business Education.
Okay.
I founded that organization during the pandemic.
Wow.
I designed it to help the elderly file the tax returns for free without touching anybody.
Oh,
So that was the whole premise for me starting it. And so thank you, Mr. Supervisor Tyrone Nelson, helped me to get space at Dory Park so that I could do that. I have teenage volunteers and seasoned tax preparers also to actually do the work. But the elderly, they would come up in their car, we get their documents, prepare their tax return, we bring it back to their car. So they didn't have to touch anybody, didn't have to get out of their car and have to do anything. And it was just for elderly. And so I kept the organization alive because I was like, I never know when I may need to help this group of people.
right.
And also there's small business owners who were not able to apply for the COVID money
Gotcha.
because they didn't have an accountant. So all
Right.
of my clients, of course, we had everything. We were
Right,
boom,
yeah.
boom. But I realized how many people didn't.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, there is a need for people who don't have the money for an accountant,
Right.
but who at that time they really could have used, that
Yeah,
money.
absolutely.
So I was like, I got to be able to help them. And so within that organization, I did a lot of speaking engagements and a lot of this is what you need to do and to kind of help them. And some people I did help them without, just pro bono, just helping them get the process done. So that's what that organization does.
Okay.
There's a book I wrote. It's a children's activity book.
Okay.
I know we had the children's book fair in April. And so there's a book called the Accountant B Activity Book. It's a coloring book, activity book for kids to teach them about financial literacy and just words in a fun way.
Okay.
Right? So that book, the proceeds from that book supports that nonprofit.
Awesome.
And so of course, donations and all that kind of stuff. But that's what the July 28th Cornhole Tournament, the two organizations that it's supporting are KLM Scholarship Foundation and the Verona Center.
I love that. So make sure that you definitely come out for that as well too. And we'll do a charity spotlight for both of those organizations as well too, just to get the message out there. So let's now talk about the consulting piece of the NES Cornhole conglomerate franchise. Again, when I said that this woman is a serial entrepreneur, like I had a conversation with her yesterday, and what I recognized and what I saw was that she has a vision, she has a goal, and then she executes it. And whether or not it's the goal is executed in the manner of what you originally thought it was going to be, but it still ends up being something absolutely amazing. So let's talk about the consulting piece of it, because I think I'm really excited about that.
Me
because I think businesses, again, I'm all about community and creating connections, right? And so as a business owner, the worst thing we can do is not create a culture of community within our own organization, and not have everybody who's on the same mission or who has the same goal or whatever the case may be. That can really hurt you.
Oh yeah,
a lot. Oh yeah, a lot. And so how do we do that as small business owners? So we've come out of, before everybody was in it, you and Mike were talking about it. Everybody was in an office. If you needed to get something done, you just walk down the office and you're like, hey, Catina, can you do this for me real quick? it may have been an inconvenience, but you would have gotten it done versus sending an email and then the person gets the email and then they have to sit on it and then they have to go back and they have to do this. And then 5 days later, you're still waiting for the information.
Mhm.
Then we go into COVID where everybody's separated,
Exactly.
nobody's in contact. And now we're getting back into whatever this new arena is going to look like for us. And so I think what you're doing with the coaching piece of it is essential. So talk to us a little bit about that, because then any other cornhole just comes, it's everything. It's like a cake, everything gets folded in.
And that all came about because I was struggling to manage basically two businesses. I had two different brands.
Right.
And I remember one day I was doing my accounting work and then I switched over to the NES. And so my branding colors I'm big about branding colors.
Yeah.
And so my branding color for the accounting firm was gray and purple. Okay. So I had on my purple shirt and my whatever. And then it was time to go to NES and I changed into my blue shirt. And there's gotta be a way for me to make this one thing. And so as I start thinking about it more and more and more, my brain is like always working, always. And so I was like, what if I do this? What if I do this? And I said, oh, what if I pull these pieces? It was kind of like, I love like the Iron Man and all that. And you remember how he was taking the screen? And like, that's how my brain was going. So I was like, okay, if I take the accounting piece, if I take this consulting, if I take this, and I said, oh, brain works. I said, okay, that's how it works. So I pulled all these things together and I said, okay, I can take my military service. I can take my accounting service. I can take my time as an entrepreneur. I can take my time as an owner of a cornhole venue, and I can make a program, a leadership training program within the team building. So what I've done is I created, we had the team building. People were already coming there for team building. Okay. So I made a program where I can teach them about leadership, and I can teach them about communication, and I can teach them about their new hires. So the first program that we rolled out was team building with leadership or communication or new hire training. Okay. And people have loved it. It's one of those things, just like the cornhole, like, let me throw it out there and see what happens. We fish. See what sticks. And that stuck. So people have really are gravitating towards that. So now I'm in the process of formalizing that so that if they need to get like continuing education credits or something like that, they can actually get those credits and all that stuff. Love that. Which, by the way, I was talking to my division manager yesterday and she was like, oh, we should totally have one of our division meetings there. Yeah. And I said 1000%. Oh yeah. Because, well, too, like, just think about it. Like, it's never the, you go to a conference and you learn, right? You sit there in a chair and it's cold or it's hot, whatever. And then you're, taking notes, and then you have to go out and implement it afterwards. Right. And so that was always the struggle for me. Anytime I went to a conference, because then I would walk out of there and I'm like, oh, I'm so excited. And then I get home and I'm like, wait, what do they say? Right. And so there's no implementation. Yeah. But if and I know you probably know this, but there's the psychology behind actually physical movement while you're learning at the same time. So just imagine having a leadership conversation as you're throwing, a bag, and hopefully the person that you're mad at, that's your leader, and you're not like, I'm just kidding. Nobody does that. Like, wait, is this no. I can't. Jackie, I would never do that. No, but so it is. And that was the thing. And so I started reading about that to figure out, what is that connection? And basically it is that your movement allows your brain to connect that movement, and it allows things to absorb more solidly. And I like games. So I created games for them to learn these leadership skills. Oh, I love that. And so it's nothing new. Like, these are leadership skills we learned. Right. I mean, I spent, all the years in the military, that's all we trained on, was because I was in the ROTC program at Virginia State University. That's where I became an officer in the Army. Okay. And so Virginia State taught us that was leadership, communication, organization, all those things are what we are graded on. Like, you're constantly graded on things. And so those things are, like, I'm talking to my military friends, we're like, what do you mean? This is what we do all the time. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, but like, most people, this is not exactly. Right, this is not what they do. And so I talked to, most of my friends are officers. Okay. So this is their everyday in and out. But when I talk to other people who are not knocking civilians or anything, just people who weren't in those positions, that doesn't come naturally to them, or they've been put into positions of leadership, but they never got the formal training. We get years and years of training of that. So putting all that together, working with them, is how it came with the program. Like, I'm going to make it fun because I cannot stand sitting there listening to someone talk at me about something. So I was like, I got to make this fun. And so we make it a lot. They have a lot of fun.
I love that. And so let's talk a little bit about leadership, because you are right. So like in the military, that's an expectation, right? Like even at the lowest level, there is a level of leadership, because you're always working to get to the next rank, right? And so communication is absolutely, it's essential, especially when you go into battle, right? Like communication is key. But as like you said, as civilians, unless you take a leadership course,
right,
it's not something that a lot of businesses teach,
right,
or they know to teach,
right,
or for me, for example, like I'm a business owner, I'm technically the leader, and I do have people that work with me, and I'm their leader, but oftentimes I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. You know what you're doing? Like, you do your thing. I don't, so, but leadership it's one of those things that it's essential, and it's essential not only in business, but in life, because it will permeate to all the other, and it just helps you become a better communicator, and it helps you become a better human, right? When you have those leadership skills. So talk to us about maybe some of I know you talked a little bit about the program, but like, what can somebody expect? Actually, no, let's back it up a little bit.
Yeah.
What would somebody who's listening to this right now go, I need that. I need to, I need to go and talk to Catina and figure out what that looks like for me. Like, what would resonate with them to reach out to you and be like, okay, this is something I need.
So I'll give you a great example. Let's say you're in an organization. A lot of people have been working remotely. We were just talking about that. And now they're coming back into the office. We still have some people remote, some people in the office. So you want those people to gel, get to know each other. Best way for people to get to know each other is through games.
Right.
So you come into our space, you have the leadership program, you come in, we get an orientation, we find out, a little bit about everybody. So as through the day, I can kind of pick at you, tease you about whatever it is, maybe. So then we start the process, we play the first game.
Okay.
And I tell them, from the moment you walk in here, everything is a test, a game, or something. You're going to learn something. Whether you think it's trivia, and it is very intentional. Every single thing I set up is intentional. It's almost like Willy Wonka. Like everything, you're going to learn something in everything. So we go through that whole process. Then we take a break.
Okay.
They go, have a snack, have a drink. We have the bar, so of course they get a drink. Then we come back, we do the next phase.
Okay.
Then you have a good time, they laugh, they joke, whatever. We do the last phase.
Okay.
And then we call it an after action report. Okay. So at the end, we go back. So at the beginning, I tell you what I'm going to teach you.
Okay.
At the end, I tell you what I have taught you.
Okay.
And so then that's their after action to figure out what did you come out with.
Okay. So is it a one-time thing? Is it something that they can work on with you continuously?
Yeah.
Right? Because I feel like it's one of those things, like you sort of have to open the book first, right? Or actually, let's back it up. You have to select the book first, right? And then you have to open it, and then you have to read the pages, and then you have to implement it, right? So it's not just a one-time.
Exactly, it's not. And so this is the first phase. Like we said, I've done a lot in the last 6 months, which is crazy, but this is like the first phase of it. So this summer quarter is focused on leadership, communication, and any new hire training.
Okay.
And so this first phase is like an introduction to that. And then we go on to a deeper dive into that. And that's how it kind of ties into the CPA firm with the consulting. Okay. So let's say you go through the process, you learn it, you're like, oh, this is great for our leadership. Now we need a deeper dive into leadership. That's when you contact me, when I put you into a program of leadership. Okay. Whether that's taught by me or someone else. Okay. We get you to where you need to be for your organization.
I love that. Yeah. So it's definitely
not a one-off. Each season will change into something. I'll just rotate something in, something out. Okay. I haven't figured out what I'm going to do for the fall just yet, but the leadership part will probably always stay there. Okay. Or the communication will probably always stay there. The new hire may change out, or may switch out and like that, but because those are always needed.
Oh yeah.
And so the thought process is that an organization, for example, will have its leadership coming through every quarter for that new training for that quarter.
I love that. So, okay. So tell people again the events that we're having so that they can make sure, and you can go to NES Cornhole Lounge.com and look at the events there, but again, tell them again.
So this Friday, there's a fundraiser fashion show with, it's called Euphoria. It's not our event, but they are using our space for it. Then we have the July 28th, which is the cornhole tournament, the Tri-Cities Cornhole Championship. Then we have the August the 2nd or 3rd. I can't believe this Friday, the first Friday in August, we have a comedy show.
3rd.
The 3rd.
My husband's birthday is on the 6th, so I was just doing math backwards.
August the 3rd. This Saturday we would have been at Smoke and Vine, but it was postponed because of the weather.
Gotcha. Okay.
So that's going to be in September. And then we have, of course, NASCAR, the NASCAR partnership.
Yes.
Which we're really super excited about that. So we're gonna run a cornhole tournament for NASCAR with great prizes. And of course, we'll be out there for both days.
Awesome.
On Richmond Row, which is that new thing they're doing, which they have local businesses on this row of to highlight all the local businesses of Richmond. And so when they called us, we're like, absolutely. I don't care what I gotta do.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be great. That's gonna be great. And then what else do we have in August? Yeah. I mean, we always have something. We always have Wednesday night country line dancing. Yep. We always have the cornhole boards out all the time. It's just like the right hand side of the building, like where the bar is and all that. We open that up, and that's where they dance.
Gotcha.
But the cornhole boards are always up. You can always come in and play. People come in, even if you don't play cornhole, come in, get a drink, get a burger.
Absolutely.
Anytime. So.
And then if you have a business and you want to host an event, you can actually do it there, right? Like, I mean, that's again, so going back to like, yes, you can have a networking event, but also have some fun as well too. So like that's the space is available for that as well too. So thank you for being here this afternoon. You definitely have to come out. I will be there on July 28th for sure. Apparently I'm interviewing people. I thought I was receiving. This is why I do yoga, people, so that I can stay flexible and whatever it is I'm supposed to be doing, I'm doing. But thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Definitely check out NESCornholeLounge.com. Look at all of the services that they offer in that location. If you're a business and you need an event space, definitely reach out to Catina. If you are a business and need leadership, help, definitely reach out because you are the Mac Daddy. Next time I'm going to turn around, she's like, I'm going to be doing this. This woman's going to take over the world. Watch it. Watch me. Yeah, watch her. So thank you for being here. Thank you for ESPN Richmond for always giving us a space to highlight really amazing local businesses. So
do we have time to talk about the two young teenagers?
Yeah.
So do we really?
We have like a minute.
Okay. So 2 young men, fashion show, they created a clothing line. We gave them an opportunity to have their fashion show in NES. The first time, because he's a staff member of ours and a friend of my daughter's from Young. So Inner Rivals, Shop Keep Quiet. So they had their fashion show and pop-up shop. First time they did was in April.
Okay.
And then we just let people come in and just see what was going to happen.
Okay.
Exploded. Kids were wrapped around the building.
Love that.
Yeah. So the next time they had an event, they monetized it.
Okay.
So it was great. So then they're going to be back in October.
Okay.
Back in December.
Okay.
So you can buy the quality of their clothing is really good, which is why I gave them that opportunity.
Awesome.
Because they are young. They're teenagers. But they have a great mind for business and they're doing great things.
I love that. I love that. So again, supporting young entrepreneurs in the community, giving back. Thank you. Oh, so amazing. All right, everybody. On a So Then with the In Crowd on ESPN 106.1, ESPN Richmond. And as always, stay fluid, my friends. I am always cheering for you.